Welcome to another class of profit and loss percent or profit and loss account. We want to continue with questions buttressing on profit, loss, and other parameters that have to do with it. Let's consider some questions. And let's look at this question. A trader made a loss of 10% on a bicycle he bought for 54,000. So on the bicycle is sold. So the selling price here was 54,000. And since he made a loss of 10%, it means the cost price will be greater than the amount is sold. So cost price here will be selling price over 100 minus loss times 100 over 1. So the selling price is 54,000. 100 minus loss minus 10, that's 90 times 100 over 1. This will give us 60,000. So the cost price will be 60,000. Because 9 here 1, 9 here 6. So the cost price will be 60,000. Now, he bought it at 60,000 and then sold it for 54,000. That's why he made a loss of 10%. Now, the question is that if he had sold it for 5,000, 57,600 now, if he had sold it, so if the selling price was 57,600 when he bought it for 60,000 naira, what will have been his percentage loss or gain? Here he cannot make any gain because he's selling lower than he bought, so he has a loss percent. So what's the loss? The loss here will be the loss here is 2,400 naira. That will be the loss. So what's the loss percent? Loss percent equals to loss over cost price times 100 over 1. That's 2,400 over what's the cost price? 60,000 times 100 over 1. So 6 here 1, 6 here 4. So he made a loss percent of 4%. Loss percent is loss over cost price times 100 over 1. What's the loss here? If he sold it for 57,600 as against the 54,000 he sold earlier, the cost price is still the same, 60,000. So he made a loss of 2,400 by subtracting the selling price from the cost price. So loss percent will be loss 2,400 over cost price 60,000 times 100 over 1, and that loss percent gives us 4%. Let's look at another question. Sold it to gain 30%. By selling a product, a dress for 3,500. So the selling price here is 3,500. A woman lost, her loss percent is 30%. So we need to find the cost price first. What's the cost price? Will be selling price over loss over 100 minus loss times 100 over 1. So the selling price will be 3,500. 100 minus 30, that's 70 times 100 over 1. So 7 here 1, 7 here 5, 735, 500. So the cost price is actually 5,000. The cost price is 5,000 because 7 here 5,000. So the cost price is 5,000. The selling price is 3,500. So the loss was 1,500. Now the question has it that for how much should she have sold it to make a gain of 30%. Now, here we are given that the cost price is 5,000. If she's to make a profit of 30%, what will be the selling price? So the selling price will be 100 plus the profit we are anticipating percent times the cost price. That will be 100 plus 30% times the cost price, which is 5,000. So that will be 130 over 100 times 5,000 over 1. So we have 130 times 50. That will be 6,500. So if she is to make a profit of 30%, when she bought the product for 5,000, she will have to add 1,500 naira to this to make it 6,500. So her selling price will be 6,500 to make a profit of 30%. Here, a woman bought a grinder, so the cost price was 60,000. She sold it at a loss of 15%. What's the selling price? So the selling price will be 100 minus loss, open and close bracket percent, times the cost price. That will be 100 minus 15% times the cost price is 60,000. So that will give us 85 over 100 times 60,000. These zeros, we call these zeros. So what we have is 51,000 naira as the selling price. 85 times 600, 51,500. So she sold it as 51,500 after buying it for 60,000 naira. So the loss here is 9,000 naira, and that gives us a percentage loss of 15,000 naira. A percentage loss of 15%. The increase percent. Then another question says, calculate the number of radio it will have had to produce. Calculate the number of radios it will have had to produce an increase of 12%. Here we have a question in our hand. A factory increases its annual production of radio from 4,325 to 4,671. So the increase here will be 4,671 minus 4,325. That will be 11 take away 5 is 6. There will be 6. 6 take away 4 is 2 is 4. Then this will be 3. So their increase was 346 radios extra that they produced. Now the percentage increase will be the increase, which is 346 over the whole production, the previous production 4,325 times 100 over 1. That will be the percentage increase, which will give us 8%. So the increase, which is 3,346 over the previous production, which is 4,325 times 100. That's 8%. Now, the second question says calculate the number of radios it will have had to produce to produce an increase of 12%. To produce an increase of 12%. So the previous production was 4,325. Now, to make it an increase percent of 12%, how many, calculate the number of radios it will have had to produce it will have had to produce an increase of 12%. So this is what we will do, is equal to 100 plus the increase, which is the profit percent, times 100 over 1. That will be 100 plus 12% times 100 over 1 times the previous production, which is 4325. So that's 112 over 100 times 4325, and that will give us 4,000. Let's do the mathematics. 4,844. So 4,844. So it will have had to produce 4,844 to make an increase. An increase here is also profit percent of 12%. 175. A man makes a profit of 16. Then, for how much should he have sold it to make a profit of 12%? Now we have this question in our hand. By selling an article for 2,175, a man makes a profit of 16%. Calculate how much the article costs. So we are looking for cost price here. So cost price is selling price over 100 plus the profit times 100 over 1. What's the selling price here? 2,175. The profit here is 16, so it will be 100 plus 16 times 100 over 1. So that will be 2,175 over 116 times 100 over 1. So the cost price here will be 1,875 naira. That means here he bought the cost price, which is CP. That means he bought this product for this article for 1,875 and sold it at 2,175. Now the second question says, for how much should he have sold it? We are looking for selling price here now. If he makes a profit of 28%. Now here the cost price is still the same, 1,875, but they said we are looking for selling price if the profit is 28%. So profit here and selling price here will be 100 plus profit that is intended times the cost price. So 100 for the profit, that's 128 over 100 times 1,875, which is the cost price we got, and that will give us 2,400 naira. So the selling price will be 2,400 700 naira. How much did he sell the car? How much did he sell? So we are looking for the selling price. We were told of the cost price to be 720,000 and that he made a profit of 20%. So selling price will be 100 plus the profit times the cost price, and that will be 100 plus 20 open and close bracket percent times the cost price, which is 720. So that will be 120 over 100 times 720,000. So what we have will be 120 times 7,200. So the selling price will be 864,000. So he sold it at 864,000 when he bought it at 720,000 naira. So he made a lot of profit. He made a profit of 144,000 naira. With this, we've come to the end of profit and loss account. We want to believe that you have a grip, first and foremost an idea, then a mastery of what we mean by profit and loss account. In our next class, we'll be talking about simple interest, how you calculate interest on the principal, how you know at what time, after how many period of time will you need your principal to grow at a particular interest. Thank you. See you in our next class of simple interest.